Welcome to this edition of the DronecCast. We have a special guest for you today from Lakeland, Florida. So this is in between Tampa, Orlando area. We have Adam Novak, who is the founder and owner of Drone Elevations. And in fact, I think I have, I can find it over here. No, that's a Tony Robbins one. But I think I have a Drone Elevations pen
Oh
right
yeah.
here on my desk, if I'm not mistaken. Look at that bad boy.
Hey, yeah. I need to get some more of those.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for this, by the way.
Yeah.
So Adam, welcome, brother. It's good to have you
Hey,
here,
thank you,
man.
Damon. Yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to see you. It's been too long.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're building an empire, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. And you
Which
get
you
a little
have.
busy. You get a little busy in there too. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great though. And the cool thing is I think the busier you are, which I know you've been incredibly busy, that
Yeah.
what that's indicative for me of is how many people that you're impacting and affecting and lives you're changing. Because that's one of the cool things about this
True.
business is how it really gets to benefit. You get to help your clients help their clients,
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah.
Now,
Absolutely.
your main focus is real estate. That's where you
Currently.
spend
Yeah.
most of your time and energy, and you've really perfected what you do for your clients.
Yeah.
So, could you kind of walk me through a little bit about some of the stuff that you do for your clients and the benefits of what
Yeah.
Drone Elevations offers them?
Yeah. Well, early on, I've been started this 7 years ago, if not seven and a half. I'm not sure where we're at now. I've lost track. But early on, I went to a networking event with real estate agents, and one of the agents approached me and said, "What are you going to do for me that my client, that my photographer doesn't do?" And I kind of thought, well, first of all, I don't really know what your photographer does. I'm a graphic designer by trade, and so we want to do everything perfect all the time and the best we can. So I kind of thought that, but I said, but I know what I do, and I'm going to provide the best photos around, 10 out of 10. So, but with that question, it got me thinking, what do we do? And I've have a long laundry list of what we do. I find a lot of the real estate photography companies, I call them run and gun. They just, how fast can I get in and get out? We move stuff, we stage stuff, we get the best angles. Our photos are professionally edited 4 times. It's a process that they go through. And then another thing we do here recently, we kind of went through a restructuring where we don't limit the number of photos you get. So we deliver however many it takes to tell the story of your listing. We're we're storytellers. I mean, that's what we do. So, we get our shots, and then we also deliver them in order that makes the most sense. I have some that say we don't get video because your photos are like a slideshow. They're like, it tells the story of the listing. But that saves, one of the driving factors in the beginning was I really wanted to save the real estate agents time, that they don't have to, get 100 photos that are all random angles and sort through them. And that stuff takes time. So, and I always kind of made the analogy, if hire a plumber, you don't tell them, hey, let me show you how to do, or here's what you hire them to free up your time to focus
Right.
on what you do best. And so, the real estate agent, they really trust in us to deliver 100% every time. And so many of them say, you make me look like a hero. My seller is happy. My broker's happy. The neighbor across the street saw your photos, and now I've got a listing presentation with them next week because it just grows. It's kind of like win big or lose small kind of thing. And the more you do it, the more that your brand spreads, that hey, this is an agent. And then the agent of course brings all the great things that they do to the table, but now we're an extension, we're a team member of them to help. And boy, the photos, I see it all the time, they make all the difference in the world. That's where everybody starts.
Yeah.
And another thing I would say is, we shoot my shot a $1.6 million home yesterday, and under 200,000 a day. When we do the same quality, no matter what the house is, every time. So
Yeah. Well, you said two things there that really stand
yeah.
out. So number one, you were talking about how and you glossed over them. I want to presence
Oh,
it because it's really
okay.
huge. So first of all, having an aerial perspective
Oh,
in these shots is one of I think the biggest game changers. Like you're scrolling through the MLS. If I'm looking to buy a house and I'm just looking at the front of every house, and they kind of all start looking the same. And then all of a sudden there's an aerial shot and I see a pool or a tennis court or a water feature. Or I see something in there that's like, oh wow. And it makes that person want to click through and then look more. So it's a way to cut through all the noise and really set yourself apart. And I think you touched on several things which are really huge because of your graphic designing background, you have an eye that 99% of people don't have.
yeah.
And what you're able to do, and then you said you edit the pictures 4 times, which is crazy, but I know why you do that, because the first time you get it 80% there. And the second time it's probably 90%, and then 92, then 98. They're little
Yeah.
tiny increments that most people don't consciously know. But what happens, and I think what you do so well, is you take all of these little subconscious subliminal changes, these 2%, 3%, 1%, 4% little incremental differences, and you put it all together where the client sees this and they're like, this is freaking amazing. And they don't know why. It just looks so good and it's so amazing. And part of that is the aerial shot, because aerial shots are, most people are only used to seeing those on TV or Hollywood productions. So that
Yeah.
already elevates them to a new place and a new level. Um,
Yeah.
and then with the color correction and with the framing and with all the other stuff you do, and then making it easier for your realtors, because a lot of people, you mentioned, like, you don't limit the shots because sometimes more is not necessarily always better, right? Like you
Mhm.
said, because
Right.
now
Yeah.
you dump 200 pictures on a realtor, they're
Yeah.
like, crap,
Yeah.
and they don't have time to do it, so they're going to usually
Yeah.
pawn it off on their assistant. They're going to pick the wrong pictures in the wrong order, and it's
Yeah.
going to actually hurt them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they get your trained eye to be able to do that. And then
Yeah.
the other thing, which is I think really really huge, you mentioned, is the referrals that come in, because again, that's one of those unintended consequences of getting to work with you, is now all of a sudden, for realtors that work with you, the amount of referrals they start receiving just shoots up dramatically. I know in the network, Sky Network, which is the largest network of professional drone entrepreneurs, so we have literally, we have thousands of pilots out there, because several of these drone companies own several or have several pilots that work for them. And we see the conversion on listings is typically around 20%.
Mhm.
18 to 24% is typically on average. So if a realtor goes out and sees 10 potential listing appointments, they're going to get 2 listings. When they
Mhm.
introduce aerial into it and have a nice presentation package, including aerial and all this stuff, and show them samples of the work like you do, we
Yeah.
see across the country that turns up to a 64% conversion. So we're
Right.
between, now you see the same 10 people, but instead of 2 listings, you're getting 6 to 7
Yeah.
listings. And
Yeah.
that's something, I think, for realtors, that's a huge deal, because you're putting in the same amount of work, but you're getting 200% more, better results. Instead of getting 2, you're getting 6. And I mean, it's just like at tripling your income that year just
Yeah.
from that alone, which is I think a huge driving point. And
Yeah.
you do it amazingly. You're very modest about it,
Oh.
but I think that's one of the gifts that you have. And I know you're really big on systems and making sure that things are efficient, not only for you and your processes, which is great, and nobody really cares about the behind the scenes for you, how
Right.
efficient
Right.
things are, but
Yeah.
for them, things like, most people don't think about that, about how
Yeah.
can I make it easier for my client? How can I make their life better and their business better? And
Yeah.
everything you do is driving that point, is working on that. And I think that's just a huge value that is, again, one of those subconscious things that they don't really know, but it just is one of the things that why I like working with drone elevation so much is because
Yeah.
my life is just better. I make more money and I get more customers, and my life is just easier when I work with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's, you hit on a lot of good points there. Yeah, I think one of the things that we do is we color match, where I don't think a lot of companies do that, where we actually make sure the walls match the walls and the floors match the floors. The That's one of like part of the editing process. I've been a photographer pretty much since I could walk. I think somewhere around 6 or 7, I got a Polaroid camera, and that was it. I was hooked. And then yeah, I find also the sellers, the owners of the house, I'll meet them and they'll say, I was said if I met the photographer that shot our house, I would be, shake his hand because you did a great, I mean, they really are impressed by it. And I see, I'll know some owners that are going to sell their house, and they're looking at other houses. And when they're looking, they're realizing, boy, the photos, some are really good, some are really bad. We need to hire a real estate agent that has good photos. And they'll go out and find that real estate agent, and they use drone elevations, and they let us know that stuff. And also the aerials, they when I started this over 7 years ago, it was like, whatever the percentage of homes that had real estate photos, and then what it was going to be in the future. And I see more starting to have aerials. When it first started, it was probably under 5%. Like I would look at MLS photos all day and there were no aerials. Now it's I don't know what it is, but it's definitely more. And in the beginning stages, someone would say, well, I don't need aerial photos for this one. And I don't think I've shot, I need to go back and look, but I'd say somewhere around 2,000 homes. And there hasn't been one that hasn't benefited from aerials. And I said in the beginning, I said, we're doing aerials on every job. I mean, we're drone elevations. Like that's what we do. So, yeah, because it tells that story, it tells that a lot of times I find, and with video too, it's kind of like an 80-20 split. The 80% is groundwork, and then the 20 is that big picture overview of, how pretty it is.
Yeah. Well, and you want to balance that out because again, you want to keep it that kind of the allure of it being sexy and unique. And if you see too much of it, if it's just all aerial, then it's one of those deals that it's not, it's just not that as appealing. If you just see a little bit, it's like when you're really hungry and you get a little taste of something, you get a taste of something, you just want more of it.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
opposed
I
to,
know. Yeah. I know some agents, and that's why we pick and sort and deliver an order. And then as an agent, you can decide if you want to exclude some. I know some agents that intentionally exclude photos just because they want people to come in. And I get it. But we like to at least, that's your choice. We're gonna cover it, and then you can decide how you want to market it.
yeah.
But yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's a great point you mentioned too, because a lot of clients are getting more, um, they're getting more aware of what's going on. And especially,
yeah,
the great thing about this, the service you offer is it helps realtors regardless of what the market's doing. If the market's really hot and stuff is selling the same day, you're getting multiple offers in that, then you've got to separate yourself from everyone else. And clients are looking at that exact thing. Who's going to offer the most? And if you go to realtors that only use aerial on some listings, they're going to see that oh, it's not on this one, or maybe they'll see a listing, or maybe they'll look at one of yours that doesn't have it and go, oh, they don't do it, and then you're just excluded off the list. They're not even going to consider you.
yeah, yeah,
And then but the ones that are consistent with it, they do really well. And the cool thing about it is in a hot market, you help realtors get the listing appointments when other realtors can't, so they increase their listing appointment conversions dramatically. And then as the market cools off, they need every advantage to keep the house from sitting for 6 months on the market and to move it faster. And I'm sure
yeah,
because you've been doing this long enough, when the market was crazy hot, when it wasn't so hot, What
Yeah.
was, do you have any stories that you could share of someone
Yeah.
that maybe had
Yeah.
a property on the market and then,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. So I'd have to look. It's on my website, and marketing materials and everything. I want to say it was in 2019 and 2020, I feel, or maybe it was 2021, when the market was just crazy hot. Nothing could stay on the, and there's a lot of statistics out there on, oh, if you have drone photos, it's going to sell this much. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get a statistician to run my numbers and see what my company has done. And so in that time frame of those 2 years, when everything, I mean, a lot of agents said, I don't, everything's so hot, it's not even worth it. I just post a picture in itself. So our photos, agents that used us, their listings sold 34.3 days faster than average, even in that hot market. And I think a lot of those were too, some of those big $1 million homes, they'll sit for a long time.
oh,
And
sure,
so,
yeah.
this sells them a lot quicker. But still,
Three,
I
four
find
days faster in a super hot market.
in a super hot market.
That
Yeah.
is
So I
unbelievable.
was telling them, if you get a listing a month, now you're getting two, you just doubled your income.
Double your income. Yeah,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
no additional work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, less work because we're coming and doing it all for you.
Yeah,
You know. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things, and people just don't know it. I remember we were talking. I was talking at a realtor convention. When was this? I think it was about this last year sometime. But anyway, I was talking to this one realtor, and this was when the market was hot. And they said, well, look, if I sell the house for an extra, you know, $20,000, it's not that big of a deal to me on my commission. The commission on an extra 20,000 by the time I pay the broker and everything else it's not a big motivator. And I was like, whoa, did you hear what you just said? That imagine if you could go back to your client and say, hey, because I used Ariel and because I did this, I was able to get you an extra $20,000
Yeah.
and get that for your client. And then how much more likely do you think that client is going to be to just review you, scream from the rooftops, write raving reviews online for you?
Right.
I mean, how much is that the ripple effect that's going to help your business,
Yeah.
and future business from that one thing, even though commission on $20,000 might not be that big a deal in the price range that you're selling. $20,000 to your client could be a whole lot. And then it was just like deer in the headlights. And they were just like, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I often say, it is about this listing, but it's also about the next one and the next one and your brand awareness and what you're putting out there, and when you hire a professional or drone elevations, first it's just peace of mind. It's going to get done right. It's going to get done great. And then you look great. The homeowner's impressed, your broker's impressed, the other agent, everybody just is like, wow, look at this. And it starts growing. I have agents that literally get jobs because other sellers see their photos online and they say, who did your photos? We want you to come in as an agent and represent us. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
that's
I see it all the
that's
time. All the
that's
time.
powerful.
Right? Yeah. I
That's
know.
really cool.
And it all starts with the photos. It really does. And we do video in 360 and everything as well. But the photos, everybody starts. And I don't know if I touched on this, but so like the $1.6 million house I shot versus under 200. I find that under 200, I have some agents who are like, we just save you for the good houses. But the big ones, when you go online, you're looking in a price range, you expect to see good photos. When you go in and you're looking under 200,000, or under 300, I mean, you rise to the top. Everybody wants to see you. And then you've got like a line of showings. And if something falls through, you've got more right behind them ready to go. I mean, I think there's a bigger difference on some of the less expensive homes because it makes a so much bigger impact because you're competing against cell phone photos everywhere else.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a great point. And that's where, a $20,000 or even a $10,000 higher selling price makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
percentage wise versus, now you're talking 10% of the asking price of the house versus, maybe, half a percent or 1% on a more expensive property. But
Yeah.
that's such a great point, because that is what you're competing with. And
Right.
to what I want to reiterate what you said earlier is that, there are a few realtors out there that only save you for the good houses. And I think that's a huge mistake, because
Yeah.
there, there's a saying. I had someone on a podcast recently, and it was like, you're only as good as your most recent work, as your last job type of
Right. Yeah. We
thing.
had
And
that saying as a graphic designer. Are you only as good as your last work or only as good as your next job or
yeah,
your current job? Yeah.
well, you base everything on your last work. I mean, you can
Yeah.
show your best work all day long, but they're going to judge, your most recent work or the last
Right.
job you did type of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what happens if you're, to your point, if you're only using aerial or you're using professional photographs, or if they hire drone elevations for only the high multi-million dollar listings or $1 million listings, then everybody that's looking in which is the majority of it,
Right.
you rather have 100 listings at 300,000 and under, or one listing at 2 million.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's those
Yeah.
other ones are going to move a lot faster. You're going to churn it. You get, it's just continual revenue in there, and they're a lot easier. And with using drone elevations, man, now you totally setting yourself apart. I think that's a massive thing. And I think that's if you're not educating people on that, you definitely should be.
Yeah, I've got marketing materials and we're finishing them up. It's like a listing presentation folder. So when you go into that listing presentation as a real estate agent, you can say, hey, here's what I'm going to offer you, and also you're going to get the best photos, and here's how it's going to set us apart, from everybody else. Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
and
And
all kinds
again,
of stuff. I'm
you're
a graphic designer background, so
which
yeah,
is fantastic, because again, you're looking at what's going to help my client, what's going to help the realtor
yeah,
get
it's
more listings, sell more houses, make more money. That's
all the time. Yeah. And
and
make it easy for them. That's a big driving factor. It's something I decided early on. You hire a professional and you expect them to take care of you, and not, you don't have to worry about a thing, just go click the submit button online and just sit back. You don't have to. I also recommend, a lot of agents will show up, take measurements or something, or if they want to meet the owner, but we'll go in there with nobody in there and save you time. You go do your thing, what you do best, and we'll go in there, get it done, and deliver it to you, and with a nice bow.
that's awesome. Yeah, they can go out, work on getting new listings, and you're there taking care
Absolutely.
of all the other stuff. And even I know I've heard raving fans of yours, meaning that if the homeowner's there, then you get to meet the homeowner, and you're basically a representative of the realtor at that point. And then
Mhm.
I've read
Yeah.
feedback from your realtors that are like, "Oh my gosh, Adam, I think my client likes you more than they like me." Right?
Yeah.
Because you said something at the very beginning. You said, I'm part of their team, an
Yeah.
extension of their team and part of their team. And I love that
Yeah.
you have that mindset, or that thought that I'm part of the team, and my goal is to make sure I get an awesome ROI, return on investment. They're investing in this photo package or video package, or
Yeah.
Scenescape 360 package, and they need to get a good return on that. And the return is more time, so they can go out and do what they want to do, whether it's spend time with their kids or hit more listing appointments and get more conversions and get more listings
Yeah.
going.
That's the whole idea. Yeah. And
That's awesome.
I think I touched, I don't know if it was before we were talking, but kind of the run and gun attitude of see
Mhm.
how fast you can get in and get out. Well, with travel and all that, basically our shoots are booked in 2 hour time slots. We do a walkthrough, we will move stuff, do some staging, get the blind, get everything prepped. Then we'll start outside, and if the homeowners need to do any last minute stuff, so the drone might take 30 minutes or something, but on some of these smaller house, and then we'll shoot the inside and the ground and everything. But some of these smaller houses, they don't take that long, and we'll hang out and talk, build some rapport, just get to know we're not in a hurry, we're not rushing in there and out, and we represent the agent to the homeowner, like you said. They go out going, boy, I really like that photographer. What a nice guy. Like, it's that whole team,
It is, yeah, and you're edifying that realtor without even just by being professional, caring, empathetic, and interested and connecting
Yeah.
with that homeowner, which is, I mean, they can't pay someone to do that,
Right. Yeah.
and
And
they
that's
get
just the
that.
way
That's
we
just a,
are. I
yeah, that's
just,
just a
it's
bonus.
life. I want to learn stuff. I want to meet people and enjoy it. Right. And not,
I
you
think
know,
that's one of the great things that sets you apart and makes you so awesome, and why you're so successful. By the way, I want to congratulate you on earning and receiving the prestigious Sky Network Masters Challenge coin. And
yeah.
this is there's only a handful of people in the world that
Yeah.
have earned this, and this is for impact in the industry. It's for the number of lives and clients touched that you've helped and benefited to help grow their businesses, the outreach that you do, the community support that you do, and being a leader and an influencer in the drone cinematography and photography space. So
Awesome.
congratulations on that, man. That's a huge
Yeah.
achievement. Love
I
that.
appreciate it. Yeah. Every year I think did the next level. So what's the next? Commander is next.
Yep, the drone
Yeah.
commander. You'll be
Yeah.
the elite of the elite. That one is
Yeah.
coming up soon, so I'm excited for you for
Yeah.
that. Very cool.
Well, thank you so much. And, I couldn't have done it without you, literally. Like,
Wow.
I met you 7 years ago, and I'll never forget that. And, I think the first thing that was like the aha moment. Well, I met you in Orlando, if you remember, before I
Yeah,
ever
I
met
do.
you. And, that was a really cool experience. But the when you flash that Lone Ranger on the board, that was like my aha moment for I need a team to do this. And that's what I've really been focusing on here now. And we're hiring droneelevations.com, photographers, graphic designers. I'm replacing myself.
Awesome.
And
Well,
so
and you're able to, by doing that, you're able to help more people and impact more.
totally, absolutely. Yeah, I love it. I've worked in ad agencies all my life, and I love that fun, creative, high energy feel to work, where it's not work. You're coming in and just having fun and doing great stuff. And then, that through that, you're, you know, helping people support their family and their community. And it just goes on. The more you do, more you make, the more you can help,
Yeah,
that's
that's
what it's
true.
all about. Yeah.
Yep, that's absolutely true. Well, and so before we wrap up, are there any other things? I know you do residential real estate, you do a lot of that, and you really help people. You do all kinds of stuff. You also do commercial, and you do some cool stuff with land and developing land and vacant land.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're working with a home builder company, land development company. I mean, we work with a lot, but
Mhm.
kind of exclusively with. And then also now we just acquired a property management company. And but then through that, I kind of last I looked, we had like 160 active real estate agents. There's, when I over this last past 7 years, I've almost done it all, from agriculture to construction to inspections to you name it. And so I'm really focused on real estate to build that foundation for the team and for everything. And then, and we're going into high-end resorts, luxury vacation rentals, traveling the world, staying in beautiful places. The 360 environment, we were really excited to be getting into that. That kind of started, I really wanted to get into it, but there just wasn't the demand for it. And then when COVID came, I'm like, here it is. So let's do this.
It really
And,
accelerated
those resorts, the nursing homes, the 360 is critical. I mean, you don't go to a vacation home without seeing, I want to see it all. I want to walk around in it. I want to feel it before I go take my family there. So
And you do a
that's
great job with incorporating aerial and ground on that 360, because especially you're talking about like a resort, and it's like, well, well, I want to be at the clubhouse or the restaurant or by this pool or that pool. And in a regular 360 tour, you don't know where you are, but now you can just pop up to the aerial view and go, oh, there's the pool, and then shoot down there, and then you can see the
Yeah.
pool and everything.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's a whole new world that you've done a really good job of helping navigate. And I've seen your tours, and they're just amazingly intuitive and simple, and it's like
I,
you're there.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That's the graphic designer. We try how can we tell this story in the simplest, most efficient, clean way? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I think and that's a great point what you mentioned earlier, because that's a lot of people that even if they have the technology, they miss the mark on all that other stuff, right? And then
Right.
it's a jumbled, confusing. Where am I? What is this? How did I
Yeah.
end up in the bathroom? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it just doesn't,
Yeah. I even I'd have to look at my LinkedIn, but I think I've been doing graphic design 35 years, and that's where I really go, we're really I'm building an ad agency under a drone umbrella is really what it is. And I love, the ad agency lifestyle, work style, all of that. It's fun, high
well, and you get
energy.
to help people. You get to help people make
Yeah.
money, impact people's lives, which is just awesome. And like to your point, the more people you help, then the more people they get to help, and it's just this huge ripple effect.
Right.
Which
Yep.
is pretty awesome. Now, as far as this service area that you service, I know you focus primarily in the, Lakeland, Tampa, and kind of Central Florida, but you're
Yeah.
not you're tied in through the network, and you not opposed to
Yeah.
travel, so you can work literally worldwide, but all over the US for sure. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we really are, strongly based in Lakeland and then Central Florida. I just drove to Tampa for a shoot today. Orlando, Davenport, Winter Haven, all over. We go down to Fort Myers, Jacksonville, really pretty much the state of Florida, but we're located in Central Florida. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Okay, cool. Well, and so if anyone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would say droneelevations.com. There's our contact page. You can book there. It's all there. Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's the best way. Yeah. Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, Adam, it's been great having you. It's been great catching up, and congratulations
Yeah.
on all the success and all the lives you're
Thank you.
touching. That's got to make
Yeah.
you feel so good. It's just I'm
Yeah.
super proud of you. I
Yeah.
really am.
Well, I can't thank you enough. I mean, I've enjoyed. It's hard to put into words. I mean, the amount of rewiring and everything you brought. I'll tell you the first time I met you in Orlando, I didn't know anything about drones. I said, I better learn something before I go to this drone convention or this drone seminar that you were putting on. And so there were different speakers and I could choose my path. Well, the presentation you were doing overlapped. I saw on a board, it said the drone boss. And I'm like, hey, that's the guy I'm going to see in San Diego. I flew out to San Diego to go to Drone Command Live. And I go, I'm going to hang out in the hallway and meet him. And you came out and I said, hi, I'm Adam. And it just, from that moment on, just the warm, just genuine person you are. I honestly, in the beginning, you reminded me of Santa Claus, like the smiling eyes, the cheeks, and that's what you're like. You give presents with your presence. And I can't thank you enough. Everything you brought to me and my family and my life and Gina and everyone. Yeah. It's been amazing.
Awesome,
Amazing.
man. Well, thank you so much for that. That's great. And
You're
speaking of
welcome.
Gina, what would I know you've gotten to work with Gina. So Gina
Yeah.
does,
Yeah.
business growth development,
Yeah.
and among lots of other things. But how would you kind of sum up that experience getting to work with her?
Incredible. Game changer. It just goes on and on. It's, you know, from I it's hard to even remember back 7 years ago when I first met her and how impactful that was until all the way up until today. And it just keeps, it's kind of like a compounding effect, just the rewiring of what's up in here. I was so set on being a lone ranger, really just it's all about me, and that's why people are hiring. And I realized the limitations with that, the limitations of growth. Um, it, when you all get together and that synergy happens, your growth just explodes beyond what you could ever even imagine on your own. I mean,
Right.
look at your Sky Network. I mean, could you imagine if you did it all on your own?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like, yeah.
that would be,
So
it's totally,
it,
you can. Tony Robbins had he was talking about that the limitation of any business, the growth or success of any business is lands on squarely on the shoulders of the leader, whoever's
yeah,
in charge of that. And that's I think that's one of those things there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much that we can get done without having a team. And that
yeah,
old saying, it takes a village.
right.
And
Yeah,
that's when you build your team, that's what the village is. And
yeah,
I remember back, I think, like even joining Sky Network when you were in San Diego, I think Gina even helped you navigate that whole process, because that was
yeah,
something that,
yeah. Oh yeah.
might not have even happened.
There's a lot of stories there. Yeah, that was a fun time. Um, well, and that's what the beauty of it, is you guys as a team. It's such a great dynamic where, Gina has offered me so much support, in a, what do I want to say, like, well, business wise, but also just mentally. There's a lot of times I've needed some help getting through some tough spots. And then you're such a wealth of knowledge in the drone realm. I mean, my gosh, and it's really your vision and everything. And then with Diego, the business side, it just like blew me away. I went into Drone Command Live thinking, well, I've done marketing, advertising, graphic design all my life. It'll be cool to learn some new tips and techniques. Well, he blew me away. It was a whole different concept that I'd ever even been taught. So with you three, and then Eddie and everybody else, and Zach, and like the whole team, it's such a great mix, of where one offers one, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's the team. Yeah,
Really,
but I want to congratulate and give kudos to you for having an open mind to that, because a lot of times, that Lone
yeah,
Ranger syndrome that you're referring to and we're talking about is where you do
yeah,
everything, but you're also closed off to everything else, because any new idea that comes in, you're like, no, 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 I know better. Um,
right,
but
yeah,
if you know better, your results, you may know of it, but you don't know
yeah,
it, right? Type of thing.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's where, it's been so neat to see you grow and scale. And, I'm kind of like a voyeur from afar. I see all this stuff and I hear all this stuff, and the team brings stuff back to me. Do you see Adam's doing this or this? Or,
yeah,
I'm like, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so seeing, what you've built up, and the cool thing is that you've built this, I joke about it, but it's really true, an empire, Drone Elevation's empire, where this is we were talking, before we hopped on here about, future plans and where you are with that. And that's you know, a massive asset that you've got 5 years from now. You've got something that you have all kinds of different options at that point, where you can
yeah,
really grow and expand to help people on a even bigger scale, or pass the baton on,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
which is cool.
yeah,
Awesome, brother. Awesome. Oh, and one last thing. So catapult, that was something. I think this was your first year in doing something like that. So you
yeah,
did the catapult, which is kind of a high-end mastermind program. What have you
yeah.
thought of that so far in the experience with catapult?
Loved it. It's like it's hard to put into words because it's so much. It's like, where do I start, kind of thing. Um, it just developing the habits, that to kind of vote for who you are. You cast a vote every day for who you want to be and who you want to become. There's that side of it. There's the uh, just there's so many times where I'm struggling with some issue, and then we hop on the catapult call, and that issue is addressed in that. I mean, it almost happens every time. And I know Gina does a lot of, looking inwardly to see, what do I need to talk about today? And I'm kind of sending her signals, talk about this, and then she picks up on them. It's really just an amazing group, amazing, that synergy and how we're all helping each other out. But it's really hard to put into words. I think there's I listen to a lot of audiobooks when I drive, and and every time I'm like, that one was the best one I've ever heard. And I've listened to dozens and dozens. And really, I think the best way to sum it up, the Atomic Habits and Who Not How, those are my two last ones. And if that is, if you read those books, you can have an idea of what I'm trying to say. it's
Well, I
it,
get, yeah, no, and I hear that, basically you're getting all the stuff that you need that you didn't know you needed, right? The stuff, because
yeah,
there's this big
yeah.
challenge. And I think we all have this. We all, struggle with this internally, but then also with our clients, because there's what you want, but then what you really need, right?
Mm,
And
yeah.
so the need is, but also you have to be ready for it when it presents itself. It's kind of like when
Mm,
the student's ready, the teacher will come, type of
yeah.
thing. And then that's when you can really implement it. And when you do that, that's when you get the massive growth and the changes and the impact that you're seeing and that you've gotten. And
Yeah.
it's not because you just were sitting there oming away and it just happened. You're putting in the work and you're implementing it,
Oh yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
you're open to it and you're implementing it. And that's, I'm just really proud of you for that.
Well, and it's that, and then it's the other where stuff I absolutely had no idea that I even needed, and then it's like, well, thank you. Like I was totally going the wrong way on that thing, and now I'm straightened out. You know, that's kind of what in the beginning I said. I felt like I was steering a huge ship and trying to get it going the right direction, and yeah, and it keeps going straighter and straighter. Yeah, and building bigger and bigger. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. Awesome.
It's yeah, it's been wonderful. I mean, what a life, From when I met you in Orlando to 7 years later, it just has been nonstop, just
That's
of
cool. I can't wait
everything.
to see. So the 3 year mark, that'll be a decade since we met.
Right? Yeah, I was thinking of that. I thought it's going to be getting on a decade. Yeah,
So
yeah,
3 years from now, we'll definitely we'll do this again, and we'll see where you
all
are at
right.
that point.
Yeah, yeah. I got a good idea because so much of it is building that vision and really sticking to it. And it's like you say, where pilot doesn't know where he's going, you know, if he doesn't know where he's going. So, to stay
Yeah.
on course
Yeah,
and
you're off course 98% of the time. You have to keep making
yeah,
little adjustments. And I think what you were saying is you were trying to steer the ship and you didn't really know. You kind of go over here and then all of a sudden you'd be way over here and then you come back over
yeah.
here and then you're back here and then
Because I
now
pictured
you're
it like
getting smaller and
one of
smaller.
those big vessels with the guys in the bottom that are rowing. Like that's like so if you're off, you're really it takes a lot to get yeah. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it all starts with that vision. And like I said, in the beginning, I was doing so much because I love it. I
Yeah.
just love it. And I'd fly agriculture in the morning, do a real estate shoot in the afternoon, and construction in the evening, and that was I loved it. But you start it's the holding a magnifying glass on a pile of sticks, if you're getting ready to start a fire and then you switch it over here and then switch it over here. So I really got that magnifying glass on real estate, and it solves so many, it builds such an awesome foundation for everything else.
Well, and serve so many people. And I know like hurricane season, you do a
Yeah,
lot with post disaster documentation and
yeah, yeah.
pre-disaster,
Yeah,
stuff.
we do roof inspections. I mean, from what I'm seeing, everybody that has a roof inspection, they're getting a full insurance payout. I mean, it's the detail. It's a 50-page report that an exactament report that shows every crack, every rip, every tear, measurements, how many materials you're going to need, and it even converts it into the price where located too. So it's a thorough document. But yeah, we've done golf courses. One neat one, it was like half underwater when we flew it after. It was pretty amazing to see. Like it was. I'd have to pull up those, but like you could see the clouds on the golf course because they were reflecting from the sky. It was kind of a
Wow.
neat effect. But yeah, but getting that pre-inspection and then getting the post-inspection is really critical because so you can, and we've done that with construction jobs. We'll fly the construction site before they ever break ground, and then if something were to happen, we've got the documentation, for just being preventative. Yeah.
That's absolutely huge. Super.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because those
Uh,
big machines, they'll tear up roads and stuff, and then we can go back in the footage and see. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, impacting lives and helping people and making the community better. That's what Drone Elevations is doing. So
Yeah.
keep,
That's
keep
right.
up, keep up the great work, Adam.
Well, thank you, Damon.
All right,
It's a
brother.
pleasure.
You take care. It was great having you on, and we will see you in a few, I guess, at the next conference, right? BizCon. We're going to be there.
BizCon. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right,
Haven't
man.
missed one yet. So yeah,
Fantastic. Look forward to
they're
it, man.
awesome. All right.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
Well, you take care, and we'll
All
see you
right.
soon.